Hello my friends. I'm just going to make a quick batch of charcoal to make some biochar. So I thought I'd make a video and show you all what I'm doing and how I do it. But what you're looking at here is just some branches that fell off trees around the property, and I chopped them up, separated into small stuff there with the leaves and the twigs off the edge of the branches, and the branches themselves, and then the larger pieces I separated also. So I'll start the fire with small stuff, and then I'll build it up, get the big stuff burning, and then I'll build it back down. This is very important. This isn't like making a campfire or something. This is very different. So you want to make sure you don't burn up all your small stuff in the beginning. In fact, you want to burn as little as possible in the beginning. Get the fire going so it'll burn the larger stuff. And then once you're content of how much of that you burned, or how much you have, or how long you want to take doing it, you start building the fire back down with smaller stuff and finishing it with the small stuff you have. I found that straw or hay is really good just to top it off. It burns away, it doesn't turn to ash if you are careful with it, and keeps the fire going and everything else turning to charcoal and the heat up. It's really great to finish it with. To finish it with something green, here I got some freshly cut weeds. These will go in the fire, no problem. You can throw freshly cut stuff in there. Once the fire is going, hot enough to burn these things, the larger pieces, then you can burn kitchen scraps, all kinds of stuff. What I'm doing here is putting in, well, first of all, here's some pieces that didn't quite burn all the way through, turned to charcoal. I got interrupted in my last burn by a rainstorm. Back in June, I think, was the last time we had rain before yesterday. It's supposed to rain again today, that's why I'm doing this. Otherwise, it's been really hot and there's been a fire ban, so I can't make any, but I need it, so. Okay, eggshells. Everyone talks about eggshells in the garden, crushing them down in the fine powder, as you see there, and putting them in your compost or your garden. It takes years to break down. I'm going to put them in my fire, and through pyrolysis, the same thing that's going to turn the wood into nice charcoal to making a biochar, is going to turn the eggshells and any bones you got, pork bones, beef bones, chicken bones. This thing's full of bones. There's some big bones the dog was chewing on. Right? The act of pyrolysis, the high temperature heat without burning everything away. Right? Burning a high temperature fire without oxygen, essentially. What I'm going to do is have the fire so the oxygen is only going to the top. I'll explain that in a second. But the same process is going to turn the wood into nice charcoal to use as biochar, is going to turn the eggshells or bones both into, well, the carbon in them is also going to become charcoal, but the calcium is also going to become a stabilized form that can be uptaken by the plants. So it's a great way to introduce calcium into your soil, whereas just putting these straight in the soil, you put too much, it'll turn it alkaline, because eggshells are alkaline, right? This process is going to assure you that you don't have a problem with pH. And these will take years for the calcium to become available for the plants as they break down in the soil, unless you have very acidic soil. So this is a very efficient process of using your some of your kitchen scraps, your bones, and your eggshells, turning them straight away into calcium the plants can use. Incorporate it into your biochar, which you're going to incorporate into your soil. And tools I use was this Fiskars and a set of hand clippers for the little twigs and stuff. I clip them off first, and the larger pieces with this. And if they're too large for that, I just use my electric chainsaw, which works great on pieces like this. Chops them all up into that. So yeah, that's kind of a look at what you can burn. Other kitchen scraps are great to burn, or like corn husks or something, right? Things that don't decompose quickly in your compost. And then This is the most important part here. You're going to see a lot of videos, people making biochar all different kinds of ways. But unless you're using a retort method, which I don't like, because a retort method is essentially putting what you want to turn into charcoal into a container and then burning it from the outside with a bunch more wood or gas if it's a big industrial sized retort. But it takes a lot of fuel to turn what's inside a container into charcoal. Whereas my method, I simply dig a hole in the ground. This is a conical hole. It meets at a point in the middle and the bottom, right? And the edges are slanted all the way in each direction. So it's like a cone. The shape of it is very important. You can't just dig a square hole or a trench or something and expect to get the same results. And you can't just have a fire on the surface like a campfire and expect the charcoal to be high quality or get very much of it. What I'm doing here, very simple, just dig this out with your shovel, right? Took me less than 15 minutes. Find the shovel, start digging, I have a hole, right? The shape of it is going to prevent oxygen from getting down to the bottom of the fire where you're going to start the fire, unlike other fires where you start from the top. That's another thing you're going to see in a lot of videos. You cannot make good quality biochar from starting the fire on top of a pile of wood somewhere or on top of your wood piled in a trench or anything like that. The fire has to be started in the bottom, and then you're going to build on top. That's going to deprive oxygen, right, because of the shape of this hole. There's not going to be any oxygen getting to the very bottom, and as you layer it up, all those layers, everything underneath is going to be deprived of oxygen. The only thing that'll be burning with oxygen will be the very top layer. So this isn't a fire we're going to build up like a teepee style or like a campfire or anything like that. It's going to be built up flat and on layers, and we're going to bash it down as we go. All right, to make sure everything's compacted, break it up a bit, and everything is going to turn into charcoal from the heat. Right, it's not going to burn away to ash, and pretty much everything that I put in here is going to be a high quality charcoal if it is allowed to burn long enough and it doesn't rain. But I'm also going to try to be quick for the video's sake, so I don't bore you all to death. But the hole is very important. If you want high quality charcoal, this is what you need. Not a square hole, trench, or any other method. This is the only method. And I've only seen this twice on YouTube. There's two people. I know a third person, very popular YouTuber, has referenced it but doesn't apply it. I don't know why. He digs trenches and puts it in there, and yeah, that's another story. But if you want the best quality charcoal for the easiest method with the least waste, the most volume of charcoal out of the volume of wood or whatever you put in there, weeds, eggshells, bones, kitchen scraps, whatever you have in your yard that's organic. Just don't put any treated lumber or painted stuff or plastic or anything foolish. Yeah, it's not a garbage burn. Alright, and of course, because having a fire, you need some water, so I got a hose turned on here, ready to go. And it's also important when making biochar. I'll show you at the end here why. But get a couple 5-gallon pails or some containers filled with water. And we're not going to put out the fire slowly. We're going to douse it quickly with cold water. If you have ice, throw some ice in there. The colder the better. It's going to fracture up the charcoal and create more surface area. Alright, well, I'm going to get the fire started and be back with you in a minute. Alright, that started up quicker than I thought. I just put a few pieces of paper and some dried weeds in there. I'm just going to start feeding it some of the smaller stuff. I want it to get going pretty good. But with the smaller stuff, once it gets going pretty good, I can smash it down in there without putting the fire out too, to get larger stuff on it. If you don't get it really hot right away, then it will go out. You get little pockets in the bottom. It didn't burn. And I'll just start mixing it up a bit, larger pieces. Once it gets going too, there won't be much smoke, as you'll see. Right now there's smoke, so those bashing it down, and it's not an efficient way for it to burn. But that's what you want. You don't want it burning all the way. You want it to turn into charcoal. Some of the stuff in the beginning will, of course, burn away. That's why I'm bashing it down to pack it in there. That's why it was important too, to make sure it was going when you start, and don't just pile stuff on. You can pile stuff on and have a fire, you dig it up, you have the core will still be completely untouched. And if you mix the sizes a bit as you build it up, you can build it up quicker without it going out. And the great thing about this fire, which is partly due to the shape of the hole, creates a vortex, sucks in all the gases. As you see already, there's not much smoke. And some of this wood I'm putting on here, you can hear the hissing, it's fresh. Some of these branches were on the trees before they came off. Yesterday and the day before we had our first rain and thunderstorms, which are coming through today too. That's why I feel safe having a fire, even though it's been really dry. And it's going to rain tonight. Plus it's a small fire, it's in the ground, and I have water right at hand. So it should be fine. And it's burning good because it's nice and dry. Once it gets going, put some more substantial stuff in there. And it gets extremely hot too from the shape of it. It's a primitive technology. People were making these conical pits thousands of years ago. You can cook in it too as you get the charcoal heated up. You cook over it. Now, of course, this is just a small fire for demonstration's sake. You can scale this up to whatever size you want. Like I said, just cut the pieces to whatever fits the hole. So if you want to do like, whole trees, and you're going to have to build a large cone-shaped hole. As you can see, it's very efficient at burning. Didn't take very long at all to get going good. I'm burning all kinds of wood here. There's poplar, there's dogwood, there's apple tree. Birch. Just don't burn anything, like some thistles or something, and the smoke is noxious. Get in your eyes and stuff, would blind you or choke on it or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know some plants. So make sure you know what you're burning before you burn it. But most wood where I'm living in Alberta, it's not toxic. There's no poisons in it or nothing. Okay, so you notice, you'd be like, oh, what kind of fire is he making there, right? You know, have it flat, all running one way, and put on another layer flat running the other way. If you build it up like a teepee or something, you're defeating the purpose of the whole thing, and you're going to end up getting a core, like I said before, of unburnt stuff in the middle once it gets larger. You know, all the way from the bottom to the top of it too. This is the easiest, best way to get the best results. It's not a quick process. I'm going to be burning a lot quicker than I usually do. Usually would wait till the stuff is caught and then put some more on so that the next layer catches quicker. Alright, so the idea is the stuff burning on top, it's going to take the oxygen. You can see here though, it's not that compacted in yet. It doesn't actually have a top layer. It's burning all the way through it. So I'm going to bash it down. Keep it as compact as you can without putting it out. Just by keeping the small stuff around the grid. Alright, we're almost midway there. Actually, it's burning pretty good. Yeah, the smell stuff is great. And bring the fire level up. Keep the larger pieces burning. Alright. So you do it. Now you can do it other ways, but you're not going to get as much out as you put in as this method, no matter which way you do it. The retort especially makes really nice charcoal. They do it on an industrial scale, but you burn away as much or more, twice as much to make it. This way everything burning is going to turn into charcoal. Right? Very hot. Too hot around the camera. Yeah, at this point now, she's burning really good. Very hot. I'm standing 6 feet away, and I'm feeling it. I'm upwind from it. So at this point, you can put in your larger pieces, or your previously not completely burnt stuff is good to start putting in now, and also your bones and eggshells and such. Right, now obviously these bones aren't just going to light up like those twigs did. They'll be caught in the middle of this fire, and the heat's going to turn them into carbon. They'll be charcoal just like the wood pieces, except very high in calcium. So, I don't know if you can see this very well, but you know, you can keep your eggshells and cook them in the oven so you know you don't get any diseases in your compost, and crush them up. It's a lot of effort, right? And that's what you get. And then this takes years to break down, unless you add acid to it, like vinegar or something. But you just throw them in here without going through all that effort. Just turn into charcoal. You don't have to waste your time. It'll just get mixed in with your soil. Right, so pretty much at the midway point in the fire, that's when you want to be adding, like I said, your bones, your larger pieces of wood. Yeah, so what I was trying to do. Right, if it starts dying down because you're bashing it down or putting more stuff on, it's wet or something. Throw some more little stuff on, it'll catch. Keep in mind too, I'm rushing this to try to make the video shorter than it's going to be, but it does take a while. Maybe if you're quick, you know, maybe an hour. It's all not that long, eh? So I got some larger stuff in there. Even if it's not on top burning, it's going to burn from the heat, which is the process we're looking for. I want it to burn without oxygen. I want it to achieve pyrolysis. And then we'll make really nice, fine graphite quality charcoal. It's going to sound like glass when you drop it. And it's going to have a gray, silvery sheen. Little bits from the small stuff I put on there, turning the ash white. We don't want to see any of that. We don't want to see any white. Just want to see black. And try to keep it flat. Keep the fire burning as close to the surface as possible. You do that by keeping on more stuff. You can feed this fire pretty quickly. Just try to avoid stuff bunching up in the middle. But yeah, it burns pretty good. You can burn, like I said, bones and all kinds of stuff. Freshly picked weeds the same day. Pick them. Pork rib bones. And really any kitchen scraps. just all pieces that didn't burn last time. Got rained on before I was done with it. Yeah, it's extremely efficient, very simple. Just dig a hole that's cylindrical. It's like a cone at the bottom. Not round hole or square hole or rectangle. And don't burn it on the surface, because then all of it will be exposed to oxygen. It'll just burn away to the white ash. Yeah, right there is the best way to get calcium into your soil, other than buying horticultural lime or something. But that's going to be alkaline, right? There's going to be a limit to how much you can put in. This is going to get rid of the alkalinity, and the biochar made properly and charged properly is going to be a pH buffer. So this is the best way. Best way I've found in 10 years or more now, since I started looking into these things. But yeah, in the middle is where you want to burn your large pieces. I haven't thrown too many large pieces on there because I want to make this quick, and I want to be able to use what I have in there. I could take another hour and be putting large pieces on right now, but I think I'm just going to burn some of these smaller, medium-sized ones and then go back and finish this off. For your sake. What is already the gist of it? It's going to make sure you start a good fire in the bottom. And the whole shape of it creates a vortex, right, as any other shape won't. And you can see it's not smoking much. And I put a whole bunch of crap in there, right? Bones and eggshells. Well, hopefully I don't make too much smoke. The beehive's right next to us. I don't want to smoke them out. Yeah, as you can see, you can burn fresh cut stuff too. I mean, this fire has a good at least 1.5 feet now of charcoal beneath it. But you can burn whatever you want on it. when it's not smoking like that, when it's burning good, it's not putting off much as far as pollution either. It's only releasing water and carbon dioxide. Whereas in a campfire or whatnot, you'd be burning all the wood away, you'd be releasing everything. All the carbon would go into the, not just in the form of carbon dioxide. I guess it would be, eh? What am I thinking? It would be more carbon dioxide. So by denying it oxygen, yeah, you're putting off less carbon dioxide. But everyone concerned about the environment, you want to sequester some carbon. Right, here's how you do it. This carbon's going to be in a stable form. And most of it will stay on the ground for thousands of years. Just bear with me, I want to get rid of these weeds before they turn to seed. It's a good way to get rid of anything diseased too. Anything you don't want to put in the compost. Instead of sending it to the city for recycle or whatever, just burn it. I mean, this fire gets hot enough. Nothing, no virus or anything is going to survive this. No plant viruses or bacteria that are harmful or funguses, any blight or rusts or anything. Just burn it. You have weeds going to seed, burn it. I burned all kinds of stuff. Then it becomes something beneficial, right? It becomes, once this is charged up, ready to be mixed in with your soil, it's like a permanent fertilizer. You can't buy a product that does what this does for your garden. And you can buy this stuff now. It is popular enough that it's being sold. And it's kind of expensive. And as you can see, it's super easy to make it yourself. Like I said, this is the most efficient as far as it's easy. You get the highest quality charcoal from this method, and you get the most volume out from the volume you put in. So it's the least wasteful method of making biochar. Like the big industrial retorts still use gas or something, right? We're burning gas and all that. This is its own fuel. Right? And you'll see tons of videos on YouTube also where you got some rusty old barrels or whatever, and yeah, they put the wood they wanted to make into charcoal, which would be a very small amount. I'm going to get the whole wheelbarrow out of this, and it's not even as much as I can put in there. But yeah, the retort method is just waste. You have to burn a bunch of wood to heat up the wood inside the container hot enough to reach pyrolysis. But all that other wood that you're burning just gets burnt away. So it releases pollution, and it serves no real good purpose, does it? And And the closest thing to this I've seen other people doing is digging a trench, filling it full of stuff, laying it on fire, then backfilling it in, right? With compost and whatnot. And that probably will be beneficial for a while, but is far less effective as making high quality charcoal to begin with, and then mixing it properly with your soil. This isn't going to be just dropped on top of anything or a hole and filled in or something. It's going to be mixed in with the soil, changing the soil texture. For one thing, so this is what you want to see. You want to see a nice fire on top. Everything's packed in there pretty good. It's extremely hot. So that's all I should mention too. This is way hotter than a campfire of that size would be. Like I said, it's got like 2 feet of charcoal in there now, and there's a vortex which increases. Oh, it's hot. I can't even speak. Okay, so let's say you got all your large pieces in there that you want in there. Any of your kitchen scraps or fresh weeds. I still got some of this half charcoal stuff. Might as well throw it in. Scraps of wood and pieces that didn't burn last time. So the large stuff, the kitchen scraps, your fresh weeds, whatever you're burning that takes the most to burn. After that point, you can start scaling back the fire by putting smaller and smaller stuff on. And we want to finish the fire with the small stuff you have on hand. I found hay or straw, right? Like a bale of old horse feed or something that went moldy or isn't being used or you have left over. Works perfect, forms a mat on top, then it burns, drying everything up, keeping everything going, but it's thin enough that you can stop it at any time. And if you pat it down with the shovel, it doesn't turn to white ash, it just turns black. So it may not make the best charcoal. Oh, and that's something too. There's a lot of things that don't burn very well in here, like wood chips. You can't just fill a hole like this with wood chips. Maybe you could put a few in at a time, a handful in at a time with other wood. I don't know, I haven't tried. But yeah, wood chips aren't going to burn. Anything really small won't burn. These pieces here I've been using, probably as small as you want to go. You want it long enough so there's air between them and space between them when they start to burn. And you can smash it down after, but the stuff on top still has to burn. If you just put on a bunch of stuff that's really small and packed together, it'll smother the fire. And yeah, I don't know. What else probably isn't good in there? Well, garbage. Don't put your plastic and stuff in there. Or anything with paint or anything. Anything you don't want to be eating, don't put in there. It'll burn off most of what's in everything, but if something's full of lead or you know, plastic, you know, who knows, maybe it's safe. I wouldn't do it. So yeah, you see there's a lot of white getting on around there. I'm going to start putting on some of the small stuff. Yeah, you should always have a drink too when you're doing this. Okay, so this is why you want to save lots of small stuff for the end. I'm going to draw that fire up on top. It doesn't take long to burn away. You know, there's some, there's some twigs and stuff in there. They'll burn. And again, you don't want stuff bunching up in the middle. If you're doing a longer burn, you got large pieces, I would suggest giving it a few shovels right in the middle, like dig right into it, maybe scoop it up and mix it around. I've had a few times I've had chunks of stuff not burnt yet. There's no problem, you just throw them in your next fire. Oh, and what I was saying about the wood chips, leaves too. Big bags of leaves, yeah. Big pile of leaves won't work either. You can put some in there, it's been mixed up with other stuff. The leaves still stuck to branches. Those branches are green, right? Those work all right. They burn pretty quick. Sap in them. Well, yeah, you gotta really watch it now. This stuff is small and will turn to ash. Okay, so the key to keeping the ash to a minimum having nothing elevated that the air can get in underneath it. And always have something burning on top. That's why I say straw or hay would just be the best. Something like that, right? Or dried grass. I had some and I used it and it worked great. I'd be putting it on here right now, right? Covering it, making a cover over it. But this is what you want to see. You're going to lose some of that small stuff to ash. It doesn't matter. It's the big pieces we put in there. The bones and the eggshells. That's what you want as charcoal. All this white stuff here isn't very much of it. This is little twigs. And if you got small stuff you're putting on top to finish it off, and some of it doesn't burn all the way, or you get left with some little bits of whatever, it's still organic, right? It still will compost down in the mix. So it's not a big loss. It's just if I kept putting on large pieces, I'd always have pieces that aren't turned to charcoal. Or I'd have to let the top burn away and turn to ash, which I don't want to do. Or cover it with a mud casing or something. Yeah, there, I put it out with the weeds. There we go. How not to make a fire, right? That's alright. That's what I want anyways. I want it to go out. I don't really want a bunch of crap on top of it though. Yeah, didn't like those weeds, I guess. Huh. Yeah, that wasn't part of the plan. It'll light up. It'll just take a minute. Yeah, might not. I don't know. We'll figure, right? Use that. Well, anyways, when you're finishing to burn, cover it with a layer of some small pieces or some hay or whatever, like I said, and everything else below is cooking in charcoal. Ideally, it would be burning too, the stuff on top. Burn away, leaving you with just a black surface, but it's not cooperating. Yeah, I thought I'd get away with putting those weeds on there. I guess I couldn't. Oh, should have been satisfied how it was going. Yeah, this is doing the same sort of thing. It's just taking longer. It's kind of just smoldering on top. Oh, one more try, and then I'll just rake off the top. Wasn't quite ready to be done with it yet. Yeah. Sending up smoke signals. And I'm just gonna grab the rake, I think, and rake the top of that off, and then be done with it. Yeah, I kind of made a mess. Stuff wasn't burning. Yeah. Yeah. see what we got going on here. It's good underneath. Pieces here up on top. Still need to burn a while. I screwed up and put the fire out. That's what you get for rushing things. Just take my time and done it right. Would have been quicker actually. Waste a video on this. Yeah, she's not gonna light back up. I'm just gonna put a fire on top. Still pretty hot. Just needed some flame. And not to put weeds on it. Well, I can put it all back on there. Oh, sorry about that, my friends. Okay, you want to finish your fire with the small stuff, not put it out with wet weeds. Those pieces I was digging up that weren't quite done yet, having a nice hot fire on top is drawing up everything and kick-started the process again. Should be just fine. By the look away, things are turning white around the edges there. I'd say it's cooking good. When I dug around, it was all pretty loose and charcoaly, so there was only a few large pieces. More recent ones I had put on. But that's what the video's about, right? Just sharing what I'm doing, the good and the bad. Not perfect. But this is the best method for making charcoal. You'll get the most out of it that you put in, and almost everything that you put in there will come out. Now, some of this stuff's turning white, but we'll fix that. I got those pieces, those larger pieces that weren't burning before burning now. Yeah, it's not the quickest thing to do. You can sure get rid of a lot of yard waste with it though. You can go way more in there than I did and just continuously feed it. Even now, I could be piling stuff on there now, right? As long as keep it burning. Well, with it going out like that was a good example of how little oxygen is getting to the fire. It just needed to restart with some flame. So this is why hay would be good right now. When you cover that with the hay keep burning nice. And all that stuff that's turning white now wouldn't be if you kept it covered. Yeah, just let that burn. What do you have there? That's only gross. A lot of wasps around this summer. flying in my face right now. No way. Oh, there we go, starting a forest fire. Light some leaves on fire and they fly around. Okay, it's starting to look more like how I want it to. Yeah, you put a layer of straw on right now, it'd be perfect. Just gonna give it a few more stirs. That's more of it burn off. It's just the larger pieces. But great way to get rid of yard waste. I went through a large pile. It is a great way to use the eggshells in your garden. The calcium that's going to be in here is readily available to the plants. Same with the bones too. You can put bones in your garden. They take years also. They are high in calcium, but the calcium is in a chemical bond. You can crush up the eggshells and add vinegar. High enough concentration of acid will break that bond. Or you just throw in a fire, no effort at all. How much effort was it for me, right? Now it's just incorporated as part of the charcoal. You can put as much in as you want. It's not going to turn anything alkaline like you would if you just dumped, a whole bunch of it in your garden. It's a great way to get calcium in your garden. Bones and eggshells in the biochar. That's also something you won't see in a lot of biochar videos. So there you can see, even though some of it's turning white, getting the ash on it, so just a very surface. Those larger pieces are breaking up now. There's a bone, just cracked in half. Pretty much just this one big piece. Yeah. I don't know if you can hear that on there. I have that glassy kind of sound already. There's a piece not burnt at all. Okay, so normally, keep in mind, it would take probably a little longer. I would put a lot more wood in here. My goal today was just to demonstrate it. I just wanted to build it up, show what can be put in, and when to put it in, and then build it back down till you got a finished product. And again, if some of those larger pieces near the top there, if they're not cooked all the way through, I'll just throw them in the next fire. All that talking, I forgot to fill my other bucket. Okay, so you want to have some water ready to go in buckets. So you want to put this fire out quickly. You want to shock it. It's very hot right now. I wish I had one of those handheld temperature things to tell you how hot it was. So you can get as cold water as you can. Some ice water would be perfect. And you're going to shock it. You've got extreme heat with extreme cold, and it's going to fracture. What you want to do is fracture as much of the charcoal as you can. It's going to break it apart. And the quality of charcoal is measured by its surface area. Alright, so you get the high quality activated charcoals for this or that and your filters and everything else. They use this technique, albeit on an industrial scale, not with a bucket in your backyard. But it's the same idea. So you can put it out with the hose if you want at this point, or you don't want to let it put itself out, or it'll just keep burning away all to ash. So you do definitely want to douse it. But the best way to douse it, to get most out of it, is to douse it all at once real quickly, thoroughly, like just flood it with water, right? So I have some containers full of water, and that's going to fracture all the pieces apart more so than it would just spraying water on it. It's going to fracture it right down, like at an atomic level I'm talking about. You're going to break stuff apart in there and make a higher quality charcoal by doing so. You're going to increase the surface area right off the start before we even break it down and incorporate it in our soil. It's a real easy step, and it's necessary. You got to put the fire out anyways. Maybe be a bit more careful than I was, so it doesn't slosh up over the side. And of course, the larger the hole, the more buckets you should have. Even if you had someone with you that could pour it in at the same time, is the better. The quicker you can do it, the better. And the colder the water, the better. The hotter the fire, the colder the water, the more you're going to fracture the carbon. Okay, because you burned away everything, you're leaving the carbon. It's all still attached to itself. So you're using the energy and the heat and the cold water. The reaction is going to break apart bonds. All kinds of stuff is going to happen. Good stuff. So this isn't biochar yet. All we did was make high quality charcoal to make biochar with. Using this method you get the highest quality, highest volume. And as you can see, all that white's gone, right? But I didn't lose any. That was just a thin coating on the stuff that was exposed to oxygen. at the very top of the fire. But yeah, just make sure it's out. You don't want to be leaving unattended fires anywhere, especially if you do this in your backyard. But that's something too I should mention. You can do this wherever you have, you know, what's this, 2 feet across, right? And you can dig down a couple feet, at least a foot, you know, to make a pit. But the shape of the pit is the key. You have to make it in a cone. You can make a container out of metal in a cone above ground and do the same thing. They have those hooked up for gas or wood burning, but still you need an outside source of fuel. You simply dig a hole in the ground, right? A cone-shaped hole. Your fuel becomes your final product. Like, I'm sure I lost some to burning to the air and a bit to ash there. You saw the white. So most of it's here. And this is what you get. It's turned charcoal, comes apart. It's all the same. There's no wood left in there. It's full of water right now, but breaks apart. You know, high quality charcoal. So, if you watch that to the end, there's your charcoal. All that's left now is to dig that out of there into a wheelbarrow or a bucket or whatever you're using, and then it's on to the next step of charging it. So I'll make a video on how to do that, and I'll also make a video on, after it's charged, how to incorporate it into your soil. So thank you very much for sticking around and watching me. But this is definitely the best way to make biochar. Check that. This is the best way to make charcoal for your biochar that I have found. Quite happy with the results myself. I mean, my garden is a testament to the value of this stuff. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you're well wherever you are, whenever you watch this. Peace.